I need a media player cart that will house 16 pieces of media and allow me to play them from there. It'll be designed to be in Windows XP through Windows 10, even if you have to make them separate files or programs. XP through Windows 10. And this multi-16 media player cart, what will it do? Basically, it'll look like what you see right there. 16 windows, 4 across, 4 up and down. And they'll load from one directory the first 16 files alphanumerically, loading from left to right, top to bottom. Again, alphanumerically. And let's go through what this program should do. On the function keys, first of all, the first function key should play the active video, just like a play button. F2 will pause or play it. F3 will toggle the active display so that every time the F3 button is hit on this overall scheme, the active display frame will become the next frame over, again from left to right, top to bottom. So if we, for example, if we were, where did I leave off? If we were here on, let's say, this frame, and we hit the F3 key one time, we just go over one frame. Now, if we're full frame, it'll slide over just like you're seeing here. But if we are on the 16 frame display cart, then perhaps you could have a little red 1 pixel border all the way around each display frame, and that border would move over one frame from left to right, top to bottom, one frame at a time, each time the F3 toggle active display button is hit. It would just, you wouldn't see anything happen on the display cart except the little tiny 1 pixel red border would move over one, and then that display frame where the red border is would become the active display frame. Again, if we were full frame, then what would happen is each time the F3 button is hit, you would see on your screen it slide over or dissolve over. Either way, I don't care. You make it dissolve, make it slide over like this to the next frame when we're in full shot, when we're in full screen shot. Now, we went through F3. Again, like I said, you'll have this graphic and you can go through the video again if you need anything repeated. F4 will zoom out from to full frame. It'll zoom. I guess we really should say we're zooming in. I should have changed that to say zoom in, but let's just say zoom out full screen. So the little frame in there will zoom out because when we hit F4, that particular active frame zooms out at you. Of course, it really looks like we're zooming in. So either way you want to say it, what you just saw happen is what happens. And then when we hit the F5 button, it'll zoom back to the media cart, the 16 display frame media cart. So again, when we hit F4, it will zoom in, and when we hit F5, it'll zoom out. Now, at any time, whether we're out on the display cart or zoomed in tight, full screen on an active frame, anytime we hit the F1 button, it will begin to play that active video in the active frame, active display frame. It'll begin the video playing. And again, that's whether we're full screen like this or if we're on the media cart with its 16 display things, the particular active frame will start playing when we hit the F1 button. And then when we hit when the video finishes, it should freeze on the last frame. It should be frozen on the first frame when we're started, unless we're playing all the videos. We'll get to that in a moment. But we left off at 4. When we press the Zoom F4 button from the display cart. It will zoom in full screen to the active display frame. When we hit F5, whether the video is still playing or stopped, it will, I didn't mean to do that. Let's pretend we're still on that frame. We just zoomed into it, it played, it's over, and we hit the F5 button, and it zooms back to the media display. And so we'll pick up from there. We'll go through each of the buttons. The F5 button follows the F4. The F4 zooms in full screen from the media cart. F5, oh, they got out of order on me. F5 button zooms back to the media cart, like that. Then we've got an inset here that says, just like VLC, whether you build this on VLC or build it separately as a C or whatever program, C+, whatever, just like VLC works, when you hit the left bracket button, it should slow the video down by 0.1. If you hit the right bracket button, it should speed it up by 1. If you hit the equal sign, it should bring it back to normal speed, no matter how many times you've speeded it up or slowed it down. And each time you hit that bracket, left bracket, keep slowing it down by 0.1. Each time you hit the right bracket, speeds it up by 0.1 to double speed, triple speed, whatever. And to keep the audio going, I'll pull the audio down if I need the audio down. Okay, the F6 button will play all of the videos in all 16 frames, whether they be a movie video. Well, that's the only thing it's going to play. If it's a still graphic, of course, it'll just stay still. But this display needs to allow for it must show FLV videos. If it can show any other format, that's fine, but it must show FLV videos, and they all should size to the full size of the frame, which, just cutting to that for a moment, the full size of this thing will be, actually a better way to show that would be this button here. The full size of the 16 frames will be 1280 by 720, centered, dead center. There'll be nothing around the video framing, nothing at all around it. There will be 16 display frames, each 320 by 180. That adds up to 1280 by 720. There should be nothing else part of this program showing. Reason for that is this needs to drop dead center in the monitor display. We pick it up with Telestream Wirecast Desktop Presenter, and I tell it, we use the go get the center, and we tell it 1280 by 720, and it grabs what's right there, dead center, 1280, 720. But we'll go over this again in a moment, but it must be able to play in Windows XP through Windows 10, even if it has to be more than one program. Has to allow for multiple instances if we want to run two programs at the same time, but only one would be active and make the function switches active, and then when we Alt-Tab over to the other window, then that other window makes the function keys operate on that second set of videos. It must play FLV videos and be able to display the still graphic files of JPEG, GIF, GIF, and PNG. It must be able to show FLV and the JPEG, the still files of JPEG, GIF, and PNG. I'll go over the rest of that in a moment. Let's come back to where we were with the slides. We were saying F5 zooms back to the full digital display. F4 zooms out to a full screen. And F3 toggles to the next active one on which F4 and F5 will operate. All right, now, and then F6 plays everything, all videos at the same time. And if you can make it do that. If you can't, let me know, price accordingly. But one of the objectives is at the beginning to see all those videos playing, and then me be able to stop them. We'll stop them on F9. I'll get to that in a moment. And if I want to have all of the audio playing, if I hit the F7 button, it turns on the audio for all 16 files. If I hit the F8 key, it should mute all of the audio except for the audio in the active display frame. Whether that display frame be whether we be visible on this, 16 cart, or we be full screen in on the active display screen, the audio from the active display screen should play even when F8, all the other audio is muted. Now, the file we just skipped over just had an abbreviation for AD that I used in that green screen, explaining that AD stands for the active display frame or window. Okay, now, F9 should stop all the videos. If we've hit F6 and turn all the videos on to play all of the videos, then I can hit F9 to just make them all stop. And then within this display screen, everything would be stopped. This display screen will have no words across it like you see here, and no colored backgrounds like you see here. This was just for you, the programmer, to know what to do and what to set the function keys on. Otherwise, each one of these little display windows would either be black, dark, with nothing in it, or be showing the first frame of the video that corresponds to an alphanumeric order of 1 through the first 16 from a given directory. And let's see, did I skip something? Yeah, I did. I need to go to F10 next. We left off at F9 stop all. F10 will be select your directory or subdirectory. And then the first 16 files in the directory we select when we hit F10 should show in the media cart in alphanumeric order from left to right, top to bottom, the first 16 in alphanumeric order. When we hit the F11 button, it should open up any settings, any that you otherwise hide, and the audio level for the whole thing should be defaulted at 100. The F12 button could be used for exit. It could also be used later for Project 2 because we can also make Alt F4 and or Control W be the way to exit out of the program, since there won't be a place you can put a X mark because the whole 1280 by 720 display will be only video display. No exit marks, nothing like that. This is not going to be a Windows certified type program. This is a private custom program for me for running my program. And that whole thing has to be 1280 by 720 with nothing else showing and no exit marks or nothing. We'll exit by going either Alt-4 or Control-W. Maybe for now also put it on the F12 button. Later on we may use the F12 button for a second project for a virtual studio or for recording live stream or whatever. And mentioning that, now I think I've covered everything. It should be 1280 by 720, dead center, nothing else around the display area except just those 16 display frames. And those frames should contain the first frame frozen when we're in stop mode, the first frame of each video, or if it's a still frame, just that then. And it should be able, no matter what other formats you make it show, it should definitely, absolutely must be able to play FLV videos and display still graphics in the JPEG, GIF, and PNG formats. And what else are we saying here for this? And then each one of the little frames, since we're using 1280 by 720, each one of the little 16 frames will come out to 320 by 180. Now, we're calling it a multi-16 media player cart. You've probably seen audio carts where you can punch the button. And, of course, we'd like to have it that way, too, in addition to being able to hit the where's F4? The F4 button up here to make it play. Oh, my buttons got out of order here on my punching screen. Here it is. In addition to being able to hit the F4 button to zoom out, and then the F5 button to zoom back, and the F3 button to toggle active display, and the F1 button to be able to make it play, we want to be able to let's say the active frame is on the top row somewhere, but I want to go to make one of the bottom row things quickly be an active frame. Then with my cursor, my left cursor, I could click it one time, and that'll make whatever display frame I click in become the active frame. If I double-click that frame, it'll make it play. So in addition to using F1 to make it play, I could double-click. In addition to using F3 to toggle the active display, I could single-click on any display frame and make it become the active display. All right, I hope all that's clear. If it's not, please contact me and ask questions. Now, what I want to do next is briefly show you what Project 2 would be, so you can be thinking ahead as you design now to maybe have Project 2 in mind in case you want to go on and do Project 2 with me. I might add that we might want to make a separate, instead of 16, or in addition to 16, we might want to make a separate just display and play 4, and a just display and play 9 for those times when I may not have 16 videos. So that's just an alternate on this Project 1. But on Project 2 now, I want to get a price from you, and talk about designing my virtual studio into this whole thing later as Project 2, a separate project, separate quote for that. We would have your display frame in it, or I'd be able just to project it in it the way I do now by using desktop projector, and I just pick it up in that and display it over. Now I've pasted it in here now for this talk, so I could zoom in and out on it. But when I'm doing the program, I play these videos, and I would zoom in to the video I play, we play it, and then when it's over, I zoom back, talk about that one a little more, and then we go on to the next video, and then play that video, and then zoom back, and I talk some more, and blah, blah, blah. Now let me show you what I have with the Virtual Studio in case you're able to do it. I already have the back virtual video screen and the front virtual video screen designed. Let me take this apart and show you. Let's take the lower third out of the way. You can see right in front of me the desk. That's part of the front Virtual Studio. These columns and the wall behind me and the blank spot for the desktop presenter portion we bring in, which right now is your Media 16 cart, is part of the picture. But basically there's a camera shot here, there's a front Virtual Studio and a back Virtual Studio, and a hole over here for the desktop presenter. Now let's take it apart further. Let's take the back Virtual Studio out. So now all I've got is your projected desktop presenter Media 16 cart and the front Virtual Studio in front of me. All right, let's take that out. We're going to take out the front Virtual Studio. And now all we've got basically is my camera shot. That same camera shot is layered upside down, flipped, so that it looks like we've got light reflecting off of the table. That, when we put in the front Virtual Studio, you see it's part of a desk which has a glass area, and we have the reflection off the glass being produced because I've got the same camera shot that's on me layered upside down below me. So that's how we did that. And then let's put the right at the moment I've got chroma key turned on. Let's turn off the chroma key so you see where I actually am. I've got a green screen behind me, and you can see we have the camera blocked so that all we have to concern ourselves with in the picture is this area in the block. And I'm careful to stay in the block when the whole thing is active. You see, when the back Virtual Studio's here and the front Virtual Studio here is in front of me, I just stay within this block, and it looks like I'm in the studio. Of course, that's what a Virtual Studio is designed to do. But take it out. I'm in front of a green screen, and if we zoom out, you see my Virtual Studio is wider than just that little bit you saw. Here's a medium shot. You see the front is much bigger. It's got a walkway on the front, and it's even bigger than this. If I zoom all the way out, here's the whole Virtual Studio. We got 2 more pictures on the side wall, and wow, much more front area on the front Virtual Studio. Let's take it apart even more. Let's take my camera out. Then let's take out the front Virtual Studio, and here is just the back Virtual Studio with your multi-16 cart showing through from the desktop presenter. Let's go ahead and take that out so you can see exactly what the back Virtual Studio is. This is the back Virtual Studio. It's just one graphic shot. It's the back Virtual Studio shot. Let's switch over to the front Virtual Studio shot. Take the back out. This is the front Virtual Studio shot that we layer in front of my camera, and then we layer my camera in and then put the back Virtual Studio shot behind, layered behind my camera. Okay, but take the back out. Here's the front again. This is just the front layer by itself. We layer my camera in behind that, layer in the back Virtual Studio shot behind that. So I'm just showing them to you separately now. And so then when we start bringing it back to the whole thing, let's see, let's bring both of the shots in there. There's the back and the front. Here's my camera turned on with me layered behind the front Virtual Studio. And we'll come in a little tighter. We'll come on in even tighter yet. And there it is with the lower third on there. So if you can design a Virtual Studio so I don't have to use Wirecast, and if we could record in F4V recording and also be able to record MP4, record both formats at the same time, that's one of the things I'd want in the Virtual Studio, and to be able to live stream to multiple flash playing live streaming services. Then I wouldn't need all. Wirecast has so many bells and whistles. This is all I need in my little broadcast thing. The main thing is this player that I'm asking you to design now. I've got a player I use now, but I want this player design that I'm showing you here that will let 16 videos play at one time when I open up, or stop them all and just display everything I'm going to be showing that night, and then be able to zoom in on that and say, and I'm doing that, and then maybe be able to zoom out and say, and then later in the program we'll be over here showing this video, and then come out and say, well, later in the program, even later yet, we'll be down here showing this video. And just, I want this little design to give me some new flexibility in my show. If you can do it, get back to me with a quote. If you need to contact me, email me or call me. And my email address is the same as the of this slide over here, the lower third where it says COGTV.org. Just put my initials in front of it, Stephen Lloyd Gilbreath, SLG, at COGTV.org. You can email me. And here's a couple things we need to go over. On right-click on any given display frame of the 16 frames on the whole on this thing here, any of these display frames, if we right-click on it, we should be able to make the settings provide for a multi-trim for that particular media. By multi-trim, I mean multiple start and stop points, at least 3. And maybe 5 or 7, because sometimes I have to cut out music or sound effects for which I don't have a license. The rest of the video I have license for, but not the music and the sound effects. So I have to sometimes chop out a bunch of stuff, and if I could have up to at least 3, maybe 5, or maybe up to 7 or 9 start-stop points when I right-click, that'd be wonderful. And then if I could also individually set the speed right inside there, that'd be great. But the overall speed would be with the brackets I told you about on that one thing. But then we want to be able to set the individual sound levels. The master sound would be 100%, but if I wanted to make an individual file more or less than that, it'd be nice to have that setting, audio level settings, and allow for multiple instances. I think I mentioned that before, where I could Alt-Tab over to another open media cart and then have another 16 medias ready to go. And then the function keys only operating those media files in that window. Then the whole thing being designed for Windows XP through Windows 10, even if you have to design it as separate programs, separate files or programs. All right, if you have any questions in the design of this multi-16 media player, then by all means contact me, email me at that address there, slg at COGTV.org or telephone me at 205-924-3111. Watch this again if you need to see it again. If you have questions that I didn't answer here, by all means, please contact me and get back to me with your quote. Because I'm ready to do this. I'm pretty much going to take the first best quote that I get, and I'm convinced you'll do a good job with this program. The multi-16 media player card.